want to bring up to the stage our judges. And I'll name each of them as they come up. Guys, come on up. We've got Anand Iyer from Microsoft BizSpark, Marshall Kirkpatrick from Read Write Web, and Matt Marshall from VentureBeat. Guys, take your spots. Welcome. Good to have you here. Now, the way this works is these guys get to sit in judgment of the 5 companies, but each of these companies has already been judged a winner. Out of scores of competitors for each of them, they've come to the point of coming to this stage, so it's not like any one of them is going to lose. Each one of them has already won because they're here on the stage. However, we are going to get insightful commentary from our esteemed panel of judges about their presentation and their product in between each 5-minute presentation. So, without any further ado, I will bring up the first of our presenters, and this company is called 80 Legs, and the presenter is Shayan Disharkar and Imran Charania. Welcome.
Hey everyone, it's great to be here presenting part of Launchpad. Very excited to be talking to all of you. What I want to talk to you about is our company called 80 Legs. We developed a platform for running web-scale applications. So the question that probably just popped in your head is, what does he mean by a web-scale application? Well, it's basically any product or service that needs to look at data across the entire internet and then analyze that data in some way. So things like search engines, deep web inspection, automated market research, these are all things that can be considered web-scale applications. The problem with web-scale applications is that they face the problem of having to go through a whole lot of content out there. When we're talking about 1 trillion pages out there on the internet today, that's a whole lot of content to go through. So if you want to go through all that content, really your only solution right now is to invest in a big data center. You have to spend money on bandwidth to pull down that content, and then you have to spend money on servers to analyze all that content. If you want to look at a decent part of the internet, you're going to be spending millions of dollars. And even if you can't afford that, do you really want to deal with the hassle of implementing those servers and managing all of them? I've done a little bit of it myself, and trust me, it's not fun, it's nasty and hairy. So, are you kind of stuck right now if you want to do web-scale analysis? Well, no, because we've created 80 Legs. Basically, we're going to allow you to simply drop in any sort of program or application that you want into our system. It'll run across the entire web and analyze content however you want to. So let me show you an example of what I'm talking about. Let's try a fun example. Let's say I want to find all images of Barack Obama on the internet. So what I'm going to do is go to 80 Legs, and I'm going to create a job. I'm going to tell 80 Legs 2 things. 1, which parts of the web I want to look at, and 2, what do I want to do once I get to those pieces of content. So I'm going to specify a few things here, and what I've done is I've written a small bit of Java code that'll take in an image off the web and then tell me if it's Barack Obama or not, based on some code that I've written. So I compile that, I put that into 80 Legs, upload it, then I create my job. So that job is now going to run across the entire internet and look at all images out there and run my Barack Obama similarity image code. And then, so that's going to take longer than a minute, so what I'm going to show you is a completed job. Once 80 Legs has finished my job, I can download a result file, and then I open that result file. I basically have a big list of URLs, and then some results at the end of each URL that tell me whether or not that URL has a Barack Obama image or not. And that's all there is to it. Very simple process. So, like I said, we've created a very simple process. It's 1, 2, 3 steps. So 1, write your code. 2, drop it into 80 Legs. And 3, let it run across the entire internet. No having to worry about data centers, bandwidth, infrastructure, none of that. All you have to do is 1, 2, 3 with 80 Legs. And so on top of that ease of use, we've provided our customers with incredible performance. We can crawl up to 2 billion pages per day, and we can run your code on a 50,000 node supercomputer. What that means is that you can pour through a lot of content at ungodly speeds. And with all that performance, we offer it at a very low cost, $2 per million pages crawled and 3 cents per CPU hour used. That is going to be cheaper than anything else you can get out there. I mean, look at the prices for on-demand computing. We beat the pants off of that. So what gets us really excited when we wake up is what's now possible now that 80 Legs exist. Before, a lot of people were interested in looking at data all over the web, but the cost and technical challenges were just too great. So things that become possible now are things like semantic analysis, deep web inspection, image search, video analysis, and a whole bunch of other things that can now be possible. basically anything you want to do web scale or take web scale is now possible with 80 legs. No more headache, very easy, very simple, very fast. So that's the pitch right there. We are launching a private beta this week. If you want to become part of the private beta, please come to us at booth 635 or come to the website and say you want to be part of it, and you can get started.
Great. Thank you. You get 50 extra seconds. That's a positive thing from the judges' point of view. Now we can hear from the judges what they think of this.
All right, I'll take a first crack at it. So I guess this is an example of a great application doing utility computing, right? So, and I know you've gotten this focus around analytics and doing stuff across the web. Are you purely restricting applications that get loaded and run on your platform purely to analytics on the web, or can it be an equivalent of Google App Engine or Windows Azure where you can do whatever you want?
So we're specializing on applications that need to access web content and look at that content somehow. Interestingly enough, so the way the technology works is that we use a sister company called Plura Processing that provides us the grid computing system that we run on.
Okay.
If you actually wanted to run more computationally intensive things that don't have to do with web content, you could go talk to them. So.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I also thought it's a great setup, and your presentation was good for the 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So I think maybe if you'd had a chance, maybe you could talk briefly about the context in which this is being built. Maybe some of your secret sauce, right, intellectual property, that may not be as easily as duplicated as.
Sure.
I mean, maybe can you comment briefly on that?
Yeah, so I just touched on that with the last question. So our sister company, Plura, basically has a grid computing system out there. The way their model works is that they integrate with things like desktop applications and websites, and basically when people's computers are idle, kind of like SETI at home kind of model, and they take the excess bandwidth, idle bandwidth, and computing power that goes on those machines. So that technology allows us to get a whole lot of nodes very quickly for very cheap. That provides the sort of hardware part of our secret sauce. There's a whole lot of other stuff we've done, basically solving a whole lot of problems when it comes to web crawling. For those of you that know, there's a lot of challenges that come to web crawling, and we've solved those things. And we've also solved a lot of challenges that come with passing messages and storing data in a very fast, very efficient way. So all the infrastructure worries that you might have to think about if you're doing this yourself, we've solved all of those for our customers.
So I think that what you're doing is really exciting, but I suspect that it's exciting enough that we're going to see more and more companies trying to do something similar, and perhaps that IP is the difference between you and other companies that will just try and muscle their way through the task. But I do wonder how much of and maybe no one has a barrier to entry on the web anymore, I don't know. But given the proliferation of cloud computing companies and Amazon in particular, I wonder why you expect people will come to you instead of perhaps waiting just a few months until something similar comes from Amazon.
Right. So there's a couple of reasons for that. First off, I guess the easiest answer is cost. If you look, the cheapest cost you can get on Amazon right now is 10 cents for unreserved instances. If you spend enough money, I think you can get down to our costs, but we actually have room to play with on our costs, even at the low cost we're providing. So, I mean, when it comes down to it, people like Amazon, they have a data center that they're using, right? That's how their cloud works. So they have a hardware, a CapEx cost that they have to handle and manage. We don't have to do any of that. We don't have any sort of data center on the back end. It's just transient nodes out there that we use. So it'd be very hard for another cloud computing provider to actually match our cost. But on top of that, we're providing a very specialized service for people interested in web scale applications. So even if you did something with EC2 and Hadoop and things like that, you still have to do a lot of work to solve all the problems that we've solved for our customers. So, I mean, that's taken over a year's worth of work from a pretty qualified team, in my opinion, to get through all those challenges. So we have a pretty good runway when it comes to that.
Okay, we're out of time. Thank you guys very much. Next up, Bantam Networks. And coming up from Bantam, you guys can head on up. We've got John Rourke, Alex Turnbull, and Henry Poydar. Welcome, guys. You got 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're just going to take a moment here to set up our slides. My name again is John Rourke. Joining me on stage from Bantam is Henry Poydar, Alex Turnbull. Today marks the private beta launch of Bantam at bantamlive.com. Bantam Networks is located in New York City in the Soho district. We are a 7-person team. We started this venture back in 2008 in about August of that year. Bantam is an online workspace for business teams to communicate, to share information, and manage relationships inside and outside of the organization. There are 3 key attributes to Bantam. 1 is network-driven collaboration. 2 is microblogging fused purposefully with business process workflows. And 3 is something that seems to be quite popular at this year's show, is social CRM. Before we go to the demo, this is a slide for the developers out there. There's a lot of horsepower in Bantam. Suffice it to say, we write more tests than code. We'll go to the demo now. Alex will be launching the application. This is my account. When you launch into Bantam, you are taken to the dashboard. And as you can see, I'm just going to orient you. Up in the top is the publishing zone. Below that is the activity feed. To the upper right is my latest status update. Right below that are some recently viewed objects within the system that I've been working on. Those are my Twitter, people I follow on Twitter, events, contacts, projects, deals, and some tools and so forth. So this is the dashboard. So to orient you again to the publishing zone, you can quickly add a task or a person or company or an event. You can even create a message without doing email volleyball. You can send a message to the team or just a few people. You can initiate projects, files, and deals from this section. If you look a little closer, if we go into the status update, we can post an update. Now, I'm presenting live on stage now on Blip TV, I think. So we'll put this in, and Alex can send it to just my colleagues or to Twitter as well, or just to Twitter. So we're auto-posting as well. Here we'll just post it to my colleagues, and that will now go in the activity feed, as you can see. Now, if you look at it a little closer in the activity feed, it's not just status updates, but it's various actions that are occurring in the system with various business process workflows. So we have icons for the uploading and attendant notes of tasks, of people uploaded into the system, of files, and so forth. So you'll see some color-coded differentiation there. The notes are in green, but you'll see comments coming in that you can annotate in line to get that awareness going within an organization for a team to be on the same page. I can look at my notifications to see what people have wanted to inform me about. Again, this brings the ambient awareness in dramatically. People may say they want to notify me about a certain file or an action or contact that's been entered into the system. Status updates is a filter of whose latest status update from the team just came in. And in invites, I can see I have 2 invites awaiting from me from my team about various things I can attend. So when we go back to the activity feed, if you look, I've got 1 new action there. So I refresh to view it, and I can see it in the system that Henry wrote a note for the contact, Tim O'Reilly. The note is in green in the activity feed. Now, if I click on Tim O'Reilly, this is his contact page. And like traditional CRM systems, we've got the contact record and the contact info and the tags and so forth. And from here, you can see the same design. We can add a note very quickly or a task, event, a file associated with him. We can notify colleagues if this is important and people should see that we've done something with this colleague. And down below are the annotated history for our relationship written by us about Tim O'Reilly. That's the traditional CRM, and it's still very helpful and useful. But notice underneath the contact information, here is Mr. O'Reilly's Twitter feed that we take in. Below that is his LinkedIn profile. Below that, some bio for Tim O'Reilly. So we are meshing both the annotated information that we store about him as well as his persona in real time. We're bringing in those things that he's interested in that we may want to bring up when we're talking to him or communicating with him in any way. So this fusion manifested in different ways that we're going very deeper into within Bantam is a core feature of the product. So when I go back to the dashboard, you get a sense of that. Our business model is we are targeting small to medium-sized businesses. Our distribution is direct, as well as through channel and product partnerships, and of course affiliate relationships we'll have with people. And our pricing model is paid subscription on a freemium pricing basis. And we've got some new things coming up that you'll see soon once we launch the public beta in just a few weeks, including deeper integration atop Twitter and some other social networking features. That's it in a nutshell. Please check us out at bantamlive.com. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Judges?
So I'm of the opinion that microblogging and activity streams aren't so much about products, they're more paradigms that are really emerging. And given that, I wonder, A, why I would want to use a proprietary technology and bring that in as opposed to an open source solution. And B, I wonder if you could discuss your relationship with the activity streams, data standards discussions that are ongoing.
Yeah. Bantam's not going to be for everybody like anything is, but I don't know of another alternative to something like this to do what people need to do. We've had 5 pilot tests in New York City. People use Bantam the way they want to use it. We're actually surprised by it. In one pilot, one of the top television commercial casting agencies is using it as their platform to operate their business. We're hard-pressed to figure out how people are going to use it, but they do. I don't know of any open source alternatives to what exists like this to use it in such a fashion. Could you repeat your second part of that question, please?
Well, there's discussions at various stages about standards around activity streams.
Yes.
And I wonder if you could share any thoughts about Bantam's relationship to those standards and those discussions.
We're young. We're probably a month early even launching today, but we won this and we were proud to do it and happy to be here. I can't comment to that. The one thing I do love about standards, as somebody once said long ago, is that there are so many from which to choose from, perhaps. But wherever the market goes, we will be compliant with that, and we hope to integrate it and still have a subscription-based product that makes sense to the market.
I wanted to say, as somebody who's been struggling within a small company, at VentureBeat, we're a group of writers that's growing, and we're trying to communicate as quickly as we can immediately, but not have too much noise. We use FriendFeed. We've tried different things, Campfire. We haven't found a perfect solution. I don't know about you, Marshall, but this is, I just wanted to give credit where credit's due. This is the sort of thing that's really valuable to have a workflow combined with real live, updates. And so I'd love to take a look at this. My concern, though, coming back is one that's slightly different, which is that I think everyone realizes this, right? So, I think Social Text released something exactly the same. You said there wasn't a whole lot there, but I think that competes with you. But I would beg to differ that it's going to be a fire hose of competitors coming down over the next couple of months as all these wiki companies just insert this new technology, such as Social Text has done, right?
Sure.
I think they have a workflow combined with tweets right now.
Yeah.
So maybe you can address that quickly.
Capitalism is a beautiful thing. Competition is a beautiful thing. It creates good products and gets value to consumers. We think we're going to be in that space and competing aggressively with it. That's really the only way I can respond to that, I suppose. But I appreciate the question.
Yeah. Of course, first of all, it's an extremely familiar interface. I'll say that up front. But aside from that, so I know you've tested with, you said you've got some beta testers that you've been piloting this with. I'm curious to hear, what kind of feedback did you get from them about, security concerns? Because, for small and medium businesses, clearly this is maybe not something they'll think about up front, but what are their thoughts on just security and having to expose this in a shared manner?
Yeah, before the security comes up, we often get, people will read about some outage. Out here, right. Some of the bigger players like Salesforce, who have been kind of the pioneers in this web-based software as a service CRM space. So outages is always the first issue. We do have experience from the past in the financial CRM world, and so we give a lot of the services we use on our hosting providers have intrusion detection, encryption, and so forth. But they do ask about it. Thus far, in the pilot tests, it hasn't been an issue. I think we're all equal in this regard in terms of the issues we face and about it, but all we can do is do the best and work with our partners to make sure that security isn't an issue.
Great. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. Next up, we have to keep moving here because we only have so much time. DubMeNow. And coming up to speak about DubMeNow is Manoush Ramnani. Welcome.
Thank you.
Here's your 5 minutes.
So today is the third day of Web 2.0 Expo, about 10,000 attendees. Let me ask you two questions. How many of you have exchanged more than 10 business cards? It's quite a bit. So I'm sure, like me, all of you have the same challenge of taking care of these business cards and managing them. My second question to you is, how many of you carry a mobile device of any sort? Right, like I had expected, almost all of you. So let's take a look at what's going to happen to these business cards that we have collected. Some of them are going to lie on my desk. Some of them will actually make it to Rolodexes, and some of them will get lost in the travel. And only a small percentage of those business cards will actually make it to some sort of electronic contact management system, such as Outlook, CRM system, or some of us will send a LinkedIn invitation, right? So these are all the challenges with the business card management. Now, if you fast forward your life 6 months, 12 months, or 18 months, and look at a business card, in your electronic format, what you'll find is one of two things. A, either that contact has already been obsolete because people change their jobs, their addresses, their phone numbers, and so on and so forth. Or you look at my business card, Manoj Ramnani. This guy is Indian or Italian, I don't know. And why did I meet this guy? Where did I meet this guy? And you hit delete, right? So these are all the challenges with the business card. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Manoj Ramnani, and I'm the founder and CEO of a company named DubMeNow, right outside of Washington, D.C. in Vienna, Virginia. Our mission is to solve the business card exchange problem for all of you. So what is Dub? Dub is your mobile business card on your phone. It works on any phone, whether it's iPhone, BlackBerry, Windows Mobile, Android, or for that matter, any phone that, as long as that phone is capable of sending and receiving the SMS. It is designed for your phone, for your existing address book, and is designed to keep your existing address book up to date. So let's take a look at how actually it works. I have an iPhone and a BlackBerry for the demo. We have a small application on iPhone. By the way, it's free. You can download it from App Store. On the home page, you can see in the synopsis of the application, my card is 35% complete. I have inbox, outbox, and contacts. In inbox, I have someone James Johnson, who has sent me his business card. I can take a look at his details, and I can put notes if I wanted to, so that I can remember who this individual is. By default, we capture date, time, and location. And if I wanted, I can save this contact only on the cloud or on the mobile phone as well as on the cloud. By default, it saves at both locations. By the way, your contacts are all secure and safe. We don't spam, neither do we sell your contacts. Under Contacts tab, you will see your Dub contacts, which are on the cloud, as well as on your local address book. And here's my card, which gives you the ability to change when you change your job or change your phone number. Let me show you the similar application on BlackBerry. Pretty much the same interface on the BlackBerry. I can go to Inbox and accept one of the business cards. And since I tweet a lot, I can very easily check, announce this thing on the Twitter, and by checking external system and accept it. I'm sure some of you are asking, what if I don't have the smartphone? That's okay. You can still use Dub using the SMS technology. You can sign up on web and send the SMS to a short code 32075, Dub me, space the email, phone number, or the Dub ID of your contact. So the person who's receiving your business card doesn't have to be signed up for Dub or doesn't have to necessarily have this tool on his software. But if he wants to send his information to you, at that time he has to sign up. So let's take a look at some of the features like Dub ID, which is like a vanity code. My Dub ID is Manoj. So if you want to send me your contact information, you can send me by sending it to Manoj. LinkedIn invitation. Later this month, we are going to release our new version when you can send your business card and also add someone on, invite somebody on your LinkedIn network. Address book backup, we back up all your contacts. Google Maps, you can see where you met this individual, and CRM integration, like Mr. O'Reilly said yesterday, the Web 2.0 world outside of the firewall and inside of the firewall. We believe that we are the bridge between inside and outside of the firewall. When you meet someone, you send them your business card, and with our CRM integrations, we put that contact information back in your CRM system. Thank you very much. I encourage you guys to create your business card by sending a text to 32075 and type DubMe space join. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. That is.
I'd love to start because I think there was a company a few years ago called Plaxo that actually tried to do that on the web, right? So you change your address. If I had a contact with John and John's Outlook would update, and there was a lot of reaction to that. I think mainly because of the spam that was coming to his inbox at that time. But I'd just be curious on how that Outlook exchange works, right? The updating, what sort of access you're giving someone to the contact in my Outlook, and maybe you could just briefly explain your interpretation of the Plaxo debacle and how you're different.
Yeah. So first of all, we don't spam in Plaxo. If you signed up, it will spam everybody, right? We are mobile. So from mobile to mobile phone, it's a connection, and at the back end, the contacts are also on the cloud. And third, our business model is entirely different. Our business model is to for the consumers using Dub is at no cost, but if you want to integrate it with your back-end systems in the corporation, that we charge you a small fee.
Okay.
I hope it answers.
Yeah,
the question.
and if you change your contact, how much control do I have over that access to my Outlook?
So you'll sync your mobile phone to your Outlook like you're doing it today. Mm-hmm. So what we do is when let's say when you and I are connected on Dub, when I change my contact information, it's going to upload the cloud. And since you are also on Dub, it's going to push my updated contact information on your mobile phone and your CRM system and on the cloud. And when you sync your mobile phone with your Outlook Exchange, unless you have the Exchange server, at that time it will get synced automatically. But otherwise, when you sync your mobile phone to your email program Outlook, it will be up to date.
So Matt and I were chatting about this backstage. I believe there's been a few products that have come out with similar ideas or similar implementations, right? Can you talk about differentiation a little bit and how you're different from some of the other? And the name slipped my mind at the moment, but how do you differentiate yourself from some of the other products that are out there today?
Yeah, there are some of the products out there, and if you go back about 10 years or so, this is not a new idea. Palm tried it, right? Palm tried it to do the IR transfer. You can beam your contact information to someone. The challenge with that concept was you had to find other person with the Palm, so it was platform dependent. And second challenge was even if, let's say, you found 1 in 10 or 20 individual who had Palm and were successfully able to transfer the contact information, it will not remain up to date, right? So if I go and change my job, he still has my incorrect contact information. So, after Palm, there are some SMS solutions that came out where companies try to you create an account and you send an SMS, but then again, you have to copy and paste all those contact information in your native address book, whereas Dub sends your contact information directly to the native address book. Anytime it changes, it updates your native address book on the cloud as well as on the CRM system.
So I am not a business software user, but when I do business, I don't maintain a Rolodex. And rarely do I tend to the contacts on my phone. When I want to get in touch with someone, I usually just Google them, and I wonder why I would want to use when so many people have their identities on the web now and available on demand universally and updated on their end. Why do I need to store contact information locally?
So right now everything is becoming mobile. Sure, contacts are available on the web, but when you need them, which device is there? As we saw, I asked the second question: how many of in the audience have cell phone? Everybody had a cell phone. So the problem is twofold. The problem is the exchange of the contact information, right? So that you don't have to carry business card because there's a lot of nuisance involved in this. So exchange becomes easier. Everybody has a mobile phone. Why carry another device, or why take this business card and put this in an internet-based system, right? And the second is management of those business cards. So once you have made the exchange simpler, exchange easier, then how do you manage this business card or the life cycle of it, right? So with one click, I exchange it. It's on the internet where I would put otherwise, and from that point onwards, it will remain up to date on the internet and on my mobile. We have a feature where if you wanted, you could save everything on the mobile, so you don't necessarily have to have every contact on the mobile. You can say, this contact I want it on the cloud only. And we are coming up with a search feature so you can search right from your mobile device all your contacts on the web.
Great. Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Good luck. All right. Next up, we have Andre Charland, who's going to speak about nitobi's PhoneGap. Andre, you here? Welcome.
Hey, thank you. Right. So, my name is Andre Charland, and I'm going to talk to you today about a project for doing mobile phone development. It's called PhoneGap. So my slide should be up there. So that's what it's called. So Nitobi is a company I founded about 10 years ago, and we do all sorts of consulting services. But PhoneGap we started last August, and well, why don't we just show you a little demo here quickly. So this is a game that's on the iPhone. It's in the App Store today. So it's a simple kind of block and column type game, and it uses the iPhone's accelerometer. It's called Blockbuster, and it's for sale today, and it was built with PhoneGap. What's interesting about that is it was built with just HTML and JavaScript and other web technologies. So if we could jump back to the slides here for a second, we can kind of look at the landscape we have today for mobile apps. There's a lot of hype today around the iPhone. There's 25,000 apps, 500 million downloads, something like that. But Windows Mobile is also relevant. Android's going to be on 5 or 6 devices next year. BlackBerry kind of has a stranglehold over the enterprise. Nokia, as we saw this morning, has a lion's share of the smartphone market. And then Palm Pre is launching later this year, and it's kind of a dark horse. But of course, these all have different stores also. So if we want to sell and distribute to them, we have to get on the stores. And to do that, we need to write in all these different languages. We have Objective-C, .NET, Java. Even the flavors of Java on Android and BlackBerry are totally different. So PhoneGap kind of bridges this gap, and we write once. And the cool thing is we write in HTML and JavaScript. So we're using open web technologies and open standards to do this. So what is PhoneGap? It's an HTML and JavaScript development framework. It's cross-platform, runs on iPhone and Android today. It's open source, MIT licensed. You can download the code today on GitHub or Google Code. It has native API access. So let's take a look at some demos here with PhoneGap. So they've kind of zoomed out a bit here, but that's okay. We can watch our accelerometer, so you can see the numbers updating. We can make a call right from here, all from HTML and JavaScript. And the same thing will work also on the iPhone. We can get our location. So there's our lat long, perfect. So that's pretty cool. It's all pretty simple JavaScript code. If we look back at the slide here for a second, we can see our get location, latitude, longitude, and it's alerting it, just as if we were building any other kind of web app. So there's over 50 apps in the App Store today that we know about. Of course, it's an open source project, so people just let us know when they've been submitted there. And if we jump back over here, I can show you an example of one. There's lots of games. This particular one you can see here is from TransLink. It's the Vancouver Transit Authority, and it gives me schedules for bus, ferry, and train near where I am. The iPhone 1 should load up slowly. So we're having some network issues. So let's jump back over to the slides here, and we can talk a little bit about the developer community. We have the traffic in the mailing list in our Google group is doubling about every month. We're giving a lot of conference talks. We're speaking at OSCON later this year, JSConf, Ajax. We've been covered in eWeek and InfoWorld. So people are really jumping on board and starting to develop PhoneGap. So what we're working on for the rest of the year is finishing platform support for Nokia and Palm, which are web native. It's a bit more work to do BlackBerry and Windows, but we're making progress there too. After that, we're going to work on a suite of tools. Nitobi as a business has a lot of experience building Dreamweaver and developer tools, Eclipse plugins, Visual Studio for Ajax Component Suite, and we're actually going to be licensing these. So this is part of where we're going to make money. Once we have the tools in place, we're going to be working on a cloud-based service. So from your emulator or IDE, once you've written HTML and JavaScript, your files will go up to our servers, and you'll get back builds for all the different platforms that you can then distribute to the stores. You can also host your app there, so you have one URL that'll detect the device and send people around from there. Also, we'll have some more advanced testing features, so you can make sure the APIs are working and other features like that. So before we do that, so one of the things we've released today is an emulator. And the cool thing about this emulator is it'll help you build HTML and JavaScript applications with PhoneGap, but for multiple platforms. So we can see here it's Android, we have Bold, we have Pre. So you can see what it'll look like in the different resolutions and adjust your HTML and CSS accordingly. So we can, in this, I can control it, and you can see the accelerometer is actually updating there, so you can test out things. Where this becomes relevant is if I was going to build, let's say, a game, and I can start this, and I can control this by moving around the screen. And so you can get a real sense without actually deploying to the phone. We have beep, vibrate, so it simulates vibrate. We can also change our orientation, so we can play around and see what the phone will look like. So PhoneGap is totally funded by Nitobi today, and we're building out the suite of tools and the rest of the platform for the rest of the year. We're based in Vancouver. We have 15 developers, and we've been in business for 10 years. So getphonegap.com. You can download the source code and start building iPhone and Android apps today. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Guys?
So I think this looks great, and I'm real intrigued by it. And I was concerned about what kind of value you were going to add if all the other platforms ended up going the way of the pre. But it sounds like you've got some good plans there. I wonder if you could speak to the concern that people had a little bit when the pre came out, when they said you can't build stable, heavy-duty mobile apps in HTML and JavaScript.
Yeah, I mean, that's a similar concern that people had in the early days of the web, when they thought JavaScript and HTML wouldn't really work out, but I think we've been through that and seen that it works. There is limitations, though. If you're going to build a fully immersive 3D game, like I saw a grand GTA clone for the iPhone, and that's probably better to do in Objective-C and get advantage of the OpenGL libraries. But for anything that's like a social networking app, a client for data services, kind of augmented reality apps using camera and GPS and some lighter weight things, HTML and JavaScript is going to be more than you need. And the thing is, it's an open source development framework, so if you wanted to reach out and go lower level, of course you lose across platform, but you can still augment your app, do graphics and stuff like that. But the first app I showed, Blockbuster, used accelerometer, had animation and was quite smooth. So most apps, the user will never ever know that it wasn't built with Objective-C and HTML and JavaScript under the hood. And I think as the devices get better, that'll just, the performance will get better and JavaScript will run faster.
I'm a fan of this write once, run anywhere concept, right? So it's phenomenal. I like it as well. I just want to get your thoughts on the pre, and now with Winmo 6.5 coming out, we have this little shim for HTML, JavaScript, mini gadgets, if I may. So what are your thoughts on that? Is what you provide with PhoneGap going to be a shim on top of the shim, or what are your thoughts on the pre?
Essentially, yeah, today it'll be a shim on top of a shim, but we're looking at HTML5, so like our geolocation spec is the same as HTML5 and what the W3C are doing, and we hope everyone goes that way. We're also talking to Bondi, it's a spec from the OMTP, and we're trying to get our APIs aligned. One advantage we have is we have working code today, and we have it deployed in app stores, and people are actually using it, so we get developer feedback, and we're trying to make adjustments. Overall, though, we kind of have this development philosophy of we hope PhoneGap kind of ceases to exist one day, because the browsers on the phones provide these APIs natively, and then we'll just be, an API that you can program to today, so you're kind of future-proofing your HTML and JavaScript application. But I'd imagine the browsers are going to evolve and provide all this stuff in there, in which case our development tools and services for doing the builds and stuff will still work, and testing will still be an issue, and there's other opportunities down the road. But that is a very grandiose kind of vision, right? I mean, we have Internet Explorer and Firefox and Safari and Chrome now, and they're not all the same, right? So that's why we still need libraries like jQuery and Dojo and Prototype and those sort of things. So down the road, hopefully we'll just be like that, but for today, we need a different solution.
Is there anyone else that's doing something similar?
Yeah, there's similar approaches. I mean, obviously, cross-platform development for mobile devices, right, once run everywhere, is a hot topic. So there's a couple other companies, one called Rhodes, which is focused on the kind of Ruby approach and make it easier for Ruby developers. And then there's kind of an Objective-J initiative, so for Java developers. We're not aware of any others that are focusing purely on HTML and JavaScript and making that the main development model, which is what we know at Nitobi. We've done JavaScript and AJAX consulting for companies like Adobe and Microsoft. We wrote a book called Enterprise AJAX for Prentice Hall. So we have a lot of JavaScript skills, and we wanted to leverage those, and we think HTML is also a good way to go. It's a popular language and seems to be doing well.
Just real quick, since we're talking about success, revenue, real quick. Can you talk a little bit about potential for making money?
For making money, like the business model?
Yep.
Yeah, so we're going to be selling developer tools, so a Dreamweaver extension and Eclipse plugin to license developers. We're also going to have an enterprise license, which will be for larger customers who need the APIs to be stable for a period of 5 years, and bundle in support. So, kind of an open core business model where the framework will always be free and open source and evolving quickly, and then we'll have an enterprise version which will be more stable and for larger customers. And then the hosted service where it does the build in the cloud and gives you back all your builds, that will be a subscription-based service for developers that will tie into the emulator, which we're distributing for free, and also the IDE plugin. So the build happens, you don't have to have, Cocoa and Eclipse and all these different tools and build chains set up on your computer as a developer, because building them is one thing, and then testing them and having the emulators is a really painful process. So we'll do that as a hosted service. You can see what's going on, and you get them all back via URL to send to your consumers or distribute them to the app stores. So that'll be a paid-for service.
Sorry, just one more question, John. Video. Can your camera pick up video right now? Or
yeah, so the way we're handling video is we're following, again, the HTML5 spec for a video tag. So you say video, and then whatever the PhoneGap wrapper is on the native environment. So if it's Objective-C on the iPhone, we just get that tag, pass in the media file. As long as it's the right media file, it plays video just like any other app would. And in some cases, you can embed it right in there. Like on Nokia, you can have Flash running in the web runtime, so that won't really be an issue.
So I should clarify, capturing video.
Oh, for capturing video?
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't really crossed that bridge yet. We're trying to keep like a subset of all the APIs possible so that we can maintain the cross-platform. Like, there's not a common way to do that yet. But again, because it's an open source framework, you could definitely have your video component that's written in the native code and then pass that into your application, upload it to the server, and do that sort of thing.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
very much. All right. Our fifth and final company, Aaron Hurley from zeaLog. Or is it zeaLog? I got through all of them except Strewn. zeaLog, sorry. zeaLog. Aaron? Sorry, man.
zeaLog.
zeaLog. All yours.
Hi, we are zeaLog. We're just a two-person bootstrap startup from right here in Silicon Valley. And I imagine that, like me, you guys spend a lot of time on the internet. And I find that the sites that I end up going to over and over have one thing in common, but more than just being a massive time sink, they're all about some kind of hacking. Right? There's life hacking and mind hacking and hacking. But the thing is that hacking is really just like this Web 2.0 term for self-improvement. And just trying to be a little bit better and doing just a little bit more than we did before. And Oprah and Dr. Phil, they'll tell you that this human drive to go from here to over there, it's a powerful thing, and we all want to do it. And it doesn't matter what there is. We want to get there. And there've been studies that show that there's 4 things that you can do to reach those goals, and they're pretty straightforward. It's make them specific, make your goals measurable, monitor your progress, and then tell other people. And in a personal case, I used to weigh more than I do. In fact, I used to be kind of downright fat. And when I finally lost weight, as I talked everyone's ear off about Atkins, and I had an Excel spreadsheet and graphs and all these kinds of things, but it worked for me, and that's really kind of what zeaLog is about. zeaLog, it lets you collect and visualize any kind of personal data. And so in the case of a weight loss, and rather than these complicated Excel spreadsheets that are never quite right, I create a weight graph, logging in pounds, then I weigh myself every day, and that's all I have to do. And now I can enter my weight. I was 200 pounds today, and weigh myself 199 yesterday, and every day just enter a little bit at a time and grow the graph. And I can enter from my iPhone. I can send updates directly via Twitter so that I can do it and continue and be consistent and eventually have this graph that shows me what's going on. And I can use various kinds of metrics. I can see actual trend lines or maybe the differences of what's happening, and I can even share and invite other people to come watch my graph or to do the graph with me, to lose weight with me. And we actually have this is actually someone on the side, Alan from Australia, and he's lost since the beginning of February. He's lost about 20 kilos, which is like almost 50 pounds. And he's got people from all over the world who don't know him saying, hey, great job, Alan, woohoo, and this keeps all kinds of encouragement and makes these things, and you can follow him and see what's going on. And Alan's also in a group that is tracking weight loss together. Now the problem is that Alan weighs a lot more than most of these people, so we have a relative mode, so it can be a little more competitive. But you can actually see that Alan is still killing it. He's way down here, and that's the thing. But what's interesting about this screen that doesn't jump out at first is that every one of those dots is someone coming back and entering their weight over and over every day. These people are motivated and targeted and really interested in losing weight, which makes them kind of handy for $37 billion weight loss industry, which allows us to have sort of co-sponsorships and brandings of various types of things. And I know there's a million sites. You can track your weight online, and so who cares? But if you're yawning, track your sleep, because zeaLog can be used to track anything. It spent $42 million advertising Ambien last year, so maybe that's a good one. Anything you can track with zeaLog. We call the users zealots because they're there all the time. The average person has 3 different graphs with 55 entries on them, and they think of all sorts of things. And of course, the standards, there's the weight loss and sleeping and days without smoking and days with drinking and anything that happens all the time. But it's really a flexible platform. People make their own verticals. When 100 push-ups became kind of all, or actually when gas prices were higher, we had, track your mileage. Gas prices went down, kind of stopped watching so much. But then, Twitter's the rage. So how many people follow me on Twitter? And people will track anything, 100 push-ups, which is 5 minutes ago, so now we do 200 sit-ups, or 100 pull-ups, which kind of topped out at 16. That seems harder. Or, bowling scores, and the whole range, word twist IQ, which I'm totally winning. Anyway, so the platform is extremely open, and we'll be allowing you to embed the reports on your graphs on other blogs in the coming weeks, as well as opening an API to allow you to feed any kind of data directly in and open it to third parties to take our features and use on their products. So anything that you can quantify, you can use on zeaLog. And that's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Guys?
So when I had looked at this, I got real excited at first, and I signed up for an account, and I jumped in, and then I spent just a little bit of time looking around and felt deflated pretty quick, and didn't find any things that I wanted that caught my interest enough to stick with it, and I wonder whether that isn't going to be a problem for lots of people, given that Tim O'Reilly yesterday talked about how the future is going to be filled with more sensors inputting data than people inputting data through their keyboards.
Right.
And so when there's a bunch of apps out there now for passive tracking of everything from Twitter followers to time spent with using apps on your computer.
Right.
So I wonder if you could speak to that, the rise of passive data ingestion versus the effort required to come back to this site.
Well, absolutely. I think one of the things about our API is going to allow that sort of passive entry, which will let people who, the users come up with ways. I mean, I didn't get through some of the windows I had open, people fighting with their moms and stuff, and people think of all sorts of weird things to track. And so even from the passive side, somebody wants to track their server uptime or mail through their system. That's, our API will allow that. And I think that's part of the thing, is that people are always thinking of more stuff than I'll ever think of to track. And so we're trying to allow that and then make it easier for people who, third parties, commercial entities who want to have some sort of passive tracking as part of their overall offering, to be able to use our system as well to provide those kinds of features, the passive, both the, the input and the displaying of data.
So I noticed that when you'd submitted the application that you said you were kind of investigating business models and revenue streams. I guess a piece of feedback. So I'm a heavy user of Mint.com, for example, and I've noticed that their lead gen model is something that is probably working well for them. Is that something that you've thought about?
I'm sorry, the which model?
The lead generation model. So, for example, say I'm really curious about how I track my weight constantly, for example, right? So have you thought about integrating lead gen into your business model?
It's one of the things we are definitely investigating. We've just opened it up and are working on everything. Like I said, the people are very specific. We've had people tracking, this was back when it was a private beta back in the fall, we're tracking home prices that they're not tracking as much anymore. But the lead generation is definitely, I think, something that is possible. There's a lot of interest from life coaches and personal trainers and this sort of thing to be able to have their clients on their own sort of situation and to use that. So I don't know necessarily lead generation because of the privacy issues. I mean, that's a fine line, I think. But I think at this point, sort of everything's open. We're small and lean, so our costs are lower for right now, and so hoping to kind of figure this out, find out what the users like as we go along.
Okay. One question I would have is a lot of these Web 2.0 companies that were doing, say, classifieds over the last couple of years, were surprised by how difficult it was to have people coming back.
Right.
You buy a car, go to Craigslist, take care of your transaction, and then you disappear for a few years until you got your next thing you need to do. But what are the things that you could do to bring these people back or maintain their activity? Because I think a lot of these activities last for like 6 months, or you're trying to lose weight and then you move on to the next thing.
Well, I think they totally do. I think we've got people tracking movies they've watched, and so they've got almost like a movie review type blog in a weird way tacked to their movie watching. So there's some things that are more ongoing, but they're definitely shorter things. We have a lot of couch to 5K type people, which obviously has a beginning and an end. But what seems to happen is the sort of natural virality is someone will do the couch to 5K and then invite the 3 other people in their office that they've all decided they're going to do this with. And then one of those people is also tracking who cleans the litter box with their husband, right? So they can keep the chores even. And so there's this sort of weird, people seem to come in groups. We'll get like 10 people all from like the same office, but that person will also start sort of this other, viral, website things. And so I think that, when things end, there's always a chance for that drop-off, but hopefully the platform is flexible enough and the engagement with other users is enough to keep people coming back.
I have one more question for you.
Sure.
When I was checking out your site on, I was looking at numbers on compete.com, and I happened to notice that one of the top referring phrases to your site was 200 setups, and I happened to notice that you mentioned 200 setups as well. Is that something people search for a lot, or is that something people want to do?
In the last month or so, there was Lifehacker had, there was 100 push-ups like in this around Christmas time, and then 200 sit-ups by the same people. It's the same kind of thing, and I think that it just happened to be, we sort of opened our doors at the time, and there's the guys from Bleco who did the push-ups and the sit-ups, and they started a sit-up graph, and I think it was just one of those things that happened to get linked to or picked up. But yeah, we get a lot of hits for that, and also misspelled cigarettes. We have somebody with a smoking graph with cigarettes misspelled, so we get that a lot. So. Yep.
All right, great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so here's what's going on next. Can we get the shortcodes up, guys? We need you guys all to get out your mobile phones now, and do we have that slide available? The code, so we can put that up. Yes? No? There it is. All right, so we need you to vote For 80 legs, text legs to 66937. For zeaLog, you just saw, text the name of the company. For Bantam, text Bantam. For Nitobi's PhoneGap, text PhoneGap. And for Dub, text Dub. So we need you guys to do that right now. And then we'll bring everybody up. Actually, while you guys are voting, why doesn't everyone come up? And you can have an uncomfortable moment waiting for the results. I'll let you guys just right up here. And again, just to remind you, which product has the greatest chance of success? And you can see the votes are coming in already. It's updating as we speak. This is thanks to Moses. I'm not sure exactly when we call this, but it looks like most of you, have you guys still need a little more time to vote? Still texting? It's a very, very close tie at the moment between PhoneGap and zeaLog. Oh, it's so close. I don't know if you're allowed to vote twice. This is not exactly science. A dance off. Do you want to think? Well, ooh, look at this. It looks like PhoneGap is striding away with it right now. I think we're pretty close to here. Anyone else need to vote? Put up your hand if you're still voting. One more vote to come in. And I think I'm going to call it. It looks like PhoneGap is our People's Choice winner. Congratulations. And thanks to all of you guys. You guys did a great job. It was really 5 really interesting companies. I have a bunch of notes. I'm going to be following up with a number of you on a number of items. It's always good to see new companies. And let me thank again Microsoft BizSpark. And let me tell you, it's a program designed to help accelerate the success of entrepreneurs and early stage startups. So it's really a perfect underwriter and sponsor for this event. Through the program, the startups get access to software, professional support, and visibility from Microsoft. So thank you, Microsoft. Thank you to the judges who put in a lot of time finding these finalists. So thank you, judges, very, very much. And the planning team and the presenters, thank you guys very much. Thank you for coming. I think we're going to end it there. So a round of applause for these guys one more time. Thanks very much.